To check that your Brevo automation is actually firing the way you built it, head straight to Automations in the left sidebar. Click Workflows, find the automation you want to inspect, tap the 3 dots on its card, and hit Access Logs. That one view gives you the full execution history, who entered, who progressed, what failed, and the exact timestamp of every action. If you just need a sanity check right now, you can stop here and you already know whether your workflow is healthy or if something's silently broken. Now, if you're sticking with me, I'll show you how to actually read those logs like someone who's been burned by Brevo automations that looked perfect in the builder but did absolutely nothing in production. I'll walk through exactly what I look at, the defaults that have tricked me, and the filter that saves me hours every week. First, get yourself into the right account. I've more than once stared at an empty workflow list only to realize I was inside a client's sub-account, not mine. The moment you log in, wait for the dashboard to fully load. There's a slight delay while Brevo pulls your latest campaign sends and contact count. And if you jump the gun and click automations before the sidebar is interactive, you'll just refresh the page and lose your patience. So, sign in, let the top menu settle, then from that left sidebar click Automations, and then Workflows. That page lists every workflow you've ever created, including the paused ones. Pro tip, if you've got more than a dozen, use the search bar at the top and type a word from the workflow name. I name mine with a prefix like WL_abandoned_cart_V2 because descriptive names aren't just good hygiene, they're the only thing standing between you and a 20-minute scroll when you're troubleshooting. Now locate the automation you want to monitor. You'll see its status, active, paused, or draft, right on the card. Do not open the workflow itself by clicking the card. That takes you to the builder, and you don't need to touch a single node right now. Instead, click those 3 dots on the right edge of the card. On some screens you get a subtle drop-down. On others it's a slide-out menu, but it always contains the option Access Logs. Click that. Once you're inside the logs, wait for the execution history to render. Brevo loads activity in batches, and if you have thousands of contacts moving through, that initial spinner can sit for 10 or 15 seconds. I once refreshed the page 3 times thinking it was broken, only to realize my browser was just struggling with 12,000 log entries. Let it finish. The view you get is gold, a list of contacts with their status, like entered, exited, action completed, or error. This is where you check whether contacts actually entered the workflow correctly. Look at the entry column. If you used a trigger like when a contact is added to list X, then right after you add a test contact to that list, you should see it appear here within a minute or two. I always keep a test contact with an email like mytest plus timestamp at domain.com just for this. Add it to the list, then immediately open these logs. If it doesn't show up, something's wrong with your entry trigger, not the workflow steps. The most common pitfall is that the contact already exists, but doesn't meet the trigger's exact attribute condition. For example, you set a trigger for contact attribute order_status equals pending, but your import didn't store that attribute in uppercase, so Brevo sees pending versus pending and silently ignores it. The logs would be empty and you'd blame the workflow. I spent an afternoon on that exact mismatch. Next, expand an individual contact's log entry by clicking on their email. You'll see a timeline of every action Brevo attempted: email sends, waits, if/else branches, and updates. This is how you spot a failed action lurking inside an otherwise healthy workflow. Look for red failed tags. A common one I see: a send email step fails because the contact's email address is blacklisted, or it hard bounces later, and Brevo marks that delivery as failed right here. If you don't check, that contact's journey stops dead, and they never reach the follow-up email you spent so long designing. I make a habit of filtering the logs for any errors by using the drop-down at the top that says All Statuses and selecting Error. That instantly gives you a list of every contact that hit a wall. Fix the cause, maybe update their address or remove them from the suppression list, and then you can manually re-trigger them if needed. Don't just assume a few failures are normal, they can silently kill your conversion path. You also want to check for contacts that exited unexpectedly. The log shows an exited by condition entry if they got kicked out because of a goal or a time-based exit rule. I once set a workflow with a wait step of 15 minutes and a time limit of 30 minutes after entry, and my contact hit that wait, then the time limit expired and Brevo just booted them. The log explained it, but I had to actually open it. Without this habit, you'd never know why half your leads never got the third email. Now don't just look at this once. Brevo automations are not set and forget, they drift. Every time you import a batch of contacts, check the logs for that list within a few hours. After you change your workflow, even just tweaking a subject line, publish it, then immediately monitor the logs for the next 15 minutes. I've switched a node from send immediately to send at a specific time and forgotten to set the time zone, so all emails bounced because the send window was already passed. The logs caught it instantly, with timestamps showing they were scheduled for the previous day and never sent. When you review, keep your workflow logic as simple as possible. The more nodes you chain, the harder it is to trace a single contact's exact path. I ditched elaborate nested if/else branches after a launch where I couldn't figure out which branch a contact took because the log just said condition met without telling me which side. Now I use separate workflows for each major path. More to monitor, but each log is clean. If you do use branches, label them descriptively inside the builder so the log at least shows the name of the path taken. Another thing, open the Automation Performance tab if you're on a paid plan. It aggregates open rates and click rates for emails within the workflow, but don't rely solely on that. The raw execution logs are more truthful because they don't hide contacts who never even got the email due to a delivery failure. I cross-reference both. If your automation is transactional and critical, consider setting up email notifications for failed steps. Brevo can send you an alert, but you can also build a separate automation that monitors the logs via the API. More advanced, but worth it for high-stakes flows. Finally, archive or delete workflows you no longer use. A cluttered workflow list makes it easy to click the wrong automation's logs and waste 10 minutes puzzling over why a contact entered a flow you don't even remember building. I archive anything older than 6 months that I haven't touched. Brevo keeps the logs accessible even for archived workflows, so you don't lose history. So, to wrap this up, you now know exactly how to pull up automation performance logs in Brevo Automations Workflows 3 dots, access logs. More importantly, you know to focus on entry errors, failed send actions, and unexpected exits, and you've got a routine for checking them after changes or imports. The moment you start treating logs like your morning coffee check, you'll catch issues before a single customer notices. Bookmark this workflow or replay the steps whenever you set up a new automation. It'll save you from the quiet failures that hurt your deliverability and your conversion rates. I'll see you in the next one.